monitors or the mics. I'm just letting you know. And when that does happen, you're going to see this appear on your screen. This does not mean that you have to stop talking. That means that I have to stop talking. You're okay to communicate amongst yourselves. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get the tour started. If you would like, wave goodbye to all the folks still standing in line. Bye-bye. Bye. Yes, because you will never see them again. Well, I don't know. You actually might see them later on today in the park. But before we officially start this tour, I do have a very special guest, Mr. Jimmy Fallon, who would like to say a few words.
Oh, hey there. You made it. Welcome to the Universal Studio Tour. I'm Jimmy Fallon. I'll be making sure that you get through this experience in one piece. You've got the very best guide. And the greatest driver.
Eric.
They're the best. I love them. Even though
Roxana
owes me $5. I know you guys are excited to get on the tour, but first, a few safety rules.
That's right, Jimmy. I do have a few safety rules to go over. First, if you need guest assistance or have a medical emergency, or if you drop something of value off the side of the tram or of any sound or video issues, reach up and grab the red E-cord that runs along the center of the ceiling of the tram, and I'll be back to assist you as soon as it's safe to do so. Otherwise, during the entire tour, please stay seated and keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times. Now, the studio is private property, and if at any time during the tour you drop your phone or you just can't wait to use the restroom, pull the cord and remain seated. And please, no smoking of any kind during the tour. And be prepared. Our tour today features loud noises, sudden tram movements, fire effects, and many water effects. You'll want to have your cameras out for great photo opportunities, but keep an eye on them so they don't get wet. And finally, for your safety and the safety of those around you, please do not use selfie sticks while on board. Woo, okay. We have officially left the theme park and we are headed down to the movie studio. And to the left and the right of the tram, you're seeing movie posters. Yeah, keep an eye out. See if maybe you can spot your favorite movie. These posters represent just some of the thousands of films that Universal Studio has produced. And Universal is its own city. We have our own fire station over there. That is Fire Station 51. Yes, those are real firemen. Other things that we have here in our Universal City, we have our own zip code, our own medical center, and 3 Starbucks. But we may have something here in our city that your city may not have, and that's called sound stages. They're like these large warehouses where production crews can build some pretty amazing sets inside of them. They're about 98% soundproof. We're going to be seeing the largest soundstage in just a moment coming up on the left side of the tram. It is Soundstage 12, where they filmed the NBC music competition, The Voice. But there have been some other pretty epic movie scenes filmed inside of Soundstage 12 that you're seeing over to the left side of the tram.
I am Rocky.
Say hello to my little friend.
And Soundstage 12 is also where they filmed Taylor Swift's music video, Me. And speaking of Taylor Swift, you can catch her in the movie musical Cats, which opens today. If you take a look over to the left side of the tram, we're getting a really good look at some of our other sound stages 20 through 16. When the doors are open, you can get a kind of a feel for what it looks like in one of those sound stages. Some movies that have filmed in these locations include Bruce Almighty starring Jim Carrey, also Red Dragon starring Edward Norton. And on the left, we have sound stages 16 and 17. Inside those sound stages, they currently house the set for the NBC sitcom Superstore. And yes, they built their own Superstore inside of these sound stages. Much easier than filming in a real Superstore. They would have to close it down. The lighting might not be perfect. So it was much easier for the production crew to just build their own Cloud9. And it's a pretty big set. It not only takes up Soundstage 16 and 17, but Soundstage 21 over to the left side of the tram. And in front of Soundstage 21, you are seeing the trailers where the stars of the show, like America Ferrera, Ben Feldman, Mark McKinney, they'll hang out inside of those trailers in between filming. Sometimes they go over their script, or they just take a quick break before they head back inside the sound stages. Now, Soundstage 21 was also the location for a scene from the movie Jurassic Park. Remember that scene where the two kids are stuck up in the tree and they get sneezed on by the dinosaur? And that happened right in Soundstage 21. If you saw the movie Apollo 13, the Control Center, Houston, yeah, that wasn't really in Houston. That was right here on the Universal lot in Soundstage 21. We're currently heading down an area that we like to nickname Sitcom Alley because a lot of different sitcoms have filmed in these sound stages over to the right. Sabrina the Teenage Witch filmed in Soundstage 41. And it's not just sitcoms that film here, but various other TV shows. For example, Good Girls with Mae Whitman, Rita, Christina Hendricks films in these sound stages on the right. The Good Place starring Ted Danson and Kristen Bell. They filmed in sound stages 43 and 44 on the right as well. And yes, The Good Place did finish up their last season, so I'm very excited to see that season when it does air. Now, speaking of Teds, though, you're going to see another Ted over on the left side of the tram. That is Ted from the movie Ted and Ted 2, enjoying his mid-afternoon martini. He's in front of our production bungalows. Now, some different production companies that are housed here in the bungalows include Illumination Entertainment. They brought us the Despicable Me movies, the Secret Life of Pets movies. And speaking of Secret Life of Pets, come back to Universal Studios next year. We're going to open up our brand new ride, Secret Life of Pets Off the Leash. Another production company located in these bungalows is the De Laurentiis Company. They're the ones that brought Dr. Hannibal Lecter to the small screen on NBC's Hannibal, and their bungalow is also pretty special. It's the same bungalow that director Alfred Hitchcock would stay in when he was filming here on the lot. We're also getting a chance to see our newer sound stages, 22 and 23. Soundstage 22 is where they filmed the final season of Will and Grace. They finished up their very last episode this week, and again, another TV show. I'm excited to see those episodes air. Soundstage 22 and 23 have been used for the show World of Dance. And Jennifer Lopez is not only a judge on World of Dance, she's also an executive producer. And these sound stages, they were first used for the TV movie musical Hairspray Live. And for that particular production, because it was a live production, the cast and crew would do all of the indoor or interior scenes inside of the sound stages. And then during the commercial break, they would have to run over to our Metropolitan sets on the right side of the tram and do some of those larger outdoor numbers. Here, check it out.
Good morning, Baltimore. Every day's like an open door. 16.
It's with me,
And we are turning the corner into Courthouse Square. You may recognize some of those sets from Hairspray Live. You may also recognize this area as Hill Valley from Back to the Future and Back to the Future 2, starring Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox.
It was actually the back lot of Courthouse Square that inspired the entire climax to Back to the Future.
I had scenes up at the clock tower on that ledge. There was a ledge about that wide. And I was standing inside looking at the ledge, and I already had vertigo. And I just thought, there's no way in the world, no way I'm going to stand on that. I was up there for quite a while. Of course, I had a cable.
Yeah, so you may notice that Courthouse Square, especially City Hall, does look a little bit different than it did in the movies. That's because those films became so popular. This area just became very recognizable. And so when other productions, such as The Ghost Whisperer, when they were filming in this location, what they did was they added what's called a facade or a false front in front of City Hall. So those columns are still there. They're just going to be behind that brick wall there. Yes, in fact, the doors are open. You can kind of take a little peek at those various columns that are inside. Yeah, so everybody wave for the camera. Yes, now Courthouse Square originally got its name from the movie To Kill a Mockingbird, starring Gregory Peck, that actually won him an Academy Award. But it has been used in various other movies and TV commercials as well. And if you take a look, you'll see over there on the left side of Courthouse Square, that was also used in the movie Back to the Future. That particular area is in the very beginning of the movie when you see Michael J. Fox's character. He's skateboarding and he grabs the back of the truck. Yeah, that happened over in that location as well. Okay, everybody, now's the time to start packing your bags and spreading the news. We are leaving today. That's right. Sometimes movie productions need to have an area that's more of like the big city as opposed to small town America. So I'm taking all of you to New York, New York. Well, not really. That would be a very long tram ride. So we're going to be heading to our New York street here on the Metropolitan set. It was inspired by 34th Street in New York City. But to be honest with you, I've actually never been to New York City, so I don't know too much about it. So I'm going to hand the reins over to Jimmy Fallon, because he knows a lot about New York City, because that is where he films The Tonight Show.
Hey everyone, welcome to New York. I got my start right here in New York on Saturday Night Live. This is actually my old neighborhood. Once got mugged over there by an old woman, tough lady. This is my favorite hot dog guy. Hey buddy, how's it going? Remember me? No. Just like old times. Gotta love New York City. Hey, I'm walking here. I'm walking here. Hey, it's cool guys. I was just walking there. So it's not exactly New York, but a lot of times when you see New York in the movies, it was shot right here on the Universal Metro sets. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Even if you make it here on the Universal lot.
And it doesn't always have to be New York City. It can be any other large metropolitan area from around the world. If you're a fan of the show American Ninja Warrior, you have definitely seen our metropolitan sets. They set up the course right here down the street, and then they will actually film in the middle of the night. So they'll have the audience members, the camera, all here at night to film. So no spoilers. If you also saw Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw, you also got a look at our metropolitan sets, but it wasn't supposed to be in the United States. Yes, it was during that motorcycle car chase scene that took place in London. I know they can transform this area to different locations, even different time periods as well. Captain America, that took place in the 1940s, the beginning of that film. Right here on our metropolitan set, it's the scene where after he just gets his powers and he's running down the street barefoot chasing after the bad guys. Yeah, right in this location. So how can they change the time period and the location of our set? That's actually quite easy. All they have to do is maybe put up some different signs in the windows. Also, if you look at the sidewalks, you're going to notice those metal squares, and that is where they can put in street lamps that are appropriate to the time period that they are filming in. They can add trash cans, you name it, they can add to the sidewalks in this area. So they're dressing up the set so it might look like 1940s America or modern London. And it just depends, what does the storyteller need? This area was transformed into Chicago for the movie Blues Brothers. Yeah, Chicago. Here, check it out. Oops.
Brace the door!
Oh, no, that's a completely different one. But that's I'll talk about that one in a minute.
When the Pinto fell,
There we go.
and you saw it land and make this big hole in the street, that was on the back lot. We dropped it from a crane. You dig like that in Chicago, not a good idea.
When people ask me all of the movies I've ever done, what was the most satisfying, the most fun, I've got to say Blues Brothers. We got to sing, we got to dance, got to drive, and trained with the best stunt people in the world, and got to be an actor and a writer. So it was a good piece of work.
Danny called John America's Guest because just didn't walk into anybody's house.
During the shooting of the movie, John was missing. We couldn't find him.
Danny went off looking for him. He saw a light on in this one house and knocked on the door.
I said, sir, we're doing a movie down here. We're looking for one of our actors. Oh, John, yeah, he's on my couch. He came in, he had a snack a couple hours ago. He's sleeping. He was America's Guest. I mean, literally that happened.
Yeah, so you can understand why the city of Chicago wouldn't be too happy with a production destroying one of their city streets. So that's another reason why productions will choose to film on these metropolitan sets as opposed to going on location. You would have to ship out all of the equipment, pay for the actors to stay in a hotel there. All of the businesses that would be on the street that you're filming, they'd have to be closed down, and then later you would have to pay them for the time that they weren't able to be open for business. So coming right here to our metropolitans and filming is much easier and much more cost effective. Plus you can do all of those crazy stunts that you really aren't able to do in an actual city. For example, in the movie Transformers, at the end of the movie, Shia LaBeouf's character has the Allspark. He's running down those LA city streets and the buildings are exploding behind him. Right here on the metropolitan sets. What they did was they created what are called shells, and they placed them in front of our regular buildings here, and then they would just explode them. But if you watch the movie, you'll notice that the camera pretty much pans away before the explosion clears away, because otherwise you would see the intact building right behind it. So yeah, they can do great explosions. I already showed you our Fire Station 51 that is already here. They can do car chases without having to close down the streets and everything in a nice, safe, secluded area. And plus, we're private property, so they don't have to pay for the local police in order to close down the city streets and cause all of that traffic for you as well. Now, I did kind of accidentally play one of the other clips starring Jim Carrey from Bruce Almighty. Well, that clip actually shows how we can create, through editing, the illusion that a character is living inside one of these buildings and then comes right out, when in fact it's actually taking place in two different locations, a soundstage and here on our metropolitan sets. I'll go ahead and show that to you.
Grace, the dog!
I'm in the shower! Okay, so this particular scene is happening in the soundstage we passed earlier. And then that is happening right here on the metropolitan sets, one of the areas called Brownstone Street. And so they would do production on one day in the soundstage, and a completely different day will come out here to our metropolitan sets and film this particular scene. In fact, you never see Jim Carrey open the door. You as the audience member just, you create that. Of course he had to open the door in order to get the dog out, right?
Inside good. Inside bad, outside good. Oh, you're done now. Great. Beautiful.
And in this scene, I talked about how we can dress up our metropolitan sets to look like various locations and time periods. This is another great example. That tree that he's leaning on, the vines that are in the background, the sign, the cars, all of those items were added to the set to give it a more realistic feel. You're also seeing people in the background as well. We call those extras. And so they are, part of the production. They're professionals. They know not to take any sort of focus away from the camera, but they help you give the illusion that this is a populated residential area. And our metropolitan sets have some illusions happening as well. The buildings look pretty realistic, correct? But what you're seeing is actually not real stone or brick. A lot of the brick that you're seeing is actually a fiberglass. It is created in a big machine called a vacuum form. So they're going to put the fiberglass in what looks like a giant waffle maker. They press it down, and then they'll have people come along and paint it with all of that detail, making it look like brick. But this means that directors can go ahead and choose whether they want a building to look brand new, so that brand new bright red brick, or maybe something that looks like it's been a while, maybe even through a fire, and the set decorators will go ahead and make sure they create the specifications of what the director wants. Also, all of the stone that you're seeing, not real. That would be too expensive and way too heavy to have to create all of this actual stonework. Most of what you are going to be seeing, there's usually plywood and then plaster on top of that. And these buildings are pretty tall. They're about 40 feet tall. But if you've been in a real city, you know those buildings are much taller. So we have something called forced perspective that we've created into these buildings. If you take a look, you may notice that the windows at the very top of the building are actually smaller than the windows that are closer to the sidewalk. So whenever your brain sees something that's small and far away, it's like, oh, that's super far away. And then it sees something close and big, okay, that's much closer to us. So that's how we trick your brain in movie making. When the camera is angled up at those windows, of course, they look really small. Your brain thinks, oh, that is a window that's super far away. But it's actually not as far away as it seems. And then these streets, you know, you turn the corner, you're right here back on our Universal lot. But the way that the streets are built, they're curved slightly at either end. So this is great for camera work. You just have the camera on one end of the street, and then the car is driving down. It looks as if the car is just going deeper, deeper into the street. But once it turns the corner, it's right here on our Universal lot. I know, pretty amazing, right? One of my favorite productions that really changed the look of this area was Bram Stoker's Dracula, starring Keanu Reeves. Yeah, remember that movie? Oh, it was fantastic. What they did was they added dirt to these streets because it's supposed to be 1800 London, and then they didn't have street lamps at that time. They had gas lamps that they would put on the sidewalks. They had a lot of those background actors or extras that were dressed in the period costume, horses with carriages, and it really transformed this area, like I said, into 1800s London. Again, these outdoor sets are very versatile, and in fact, when they were being built, director Steven Spielberg was consulted. That's pretty exciting, and he's not the only impressive director we've worked with. Let's see, Angelina Jolie has worked with us, Jordan Peele also, and of course, the amazing Peter Jackson.
It's the original King Kong that made me want to direct movies. I saw that movie on TV when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I wanted to become a filmmaker. I like films that just take you away from your real life and sweep you up an adventure. Kong literally does that. I mean, you're on board a ship, you're sailing to a lost island, you're encountering monsters and creatures from, you know, prehistoric times. So I was thrilled when Universal invited me back to Skull Island. It was great to have you along for the ride. Now, we have created this 3D immersive experience, so you're going to have your glasses ready. Don't put them on yet, but just have them in your hand because we're about to return to Skull Island. We really put a lot of thought into the character and personality of Kong, and he's so much more than a monster. In fact, he's not a monster. You know, he is an incredibly majestic, ancient creature. He's a force of nature. He's old, he's wise, he's proud, he's fierce, and obviously he has a heart. The most important feature with Kong are his eyes. Kong's eyes are wonderfully expressive. They're full of emotion. His eyes are like a window into his personality and his heart. He's had an enormous number of encounters with his foes, the T-Rexes and the various dinosaurs on Skull Island, so he's been beaten up, scarred, chewed up, spat out by these dinosaurs at various times, and he wears the scars of a lot of ancient battles.
And we are heading into Skull Island. Just a reminder to please remain seated and to hold on tightly to your personal belongings.
Okay, glasses on, everybody. We're back in Skull Island.
Let's give a big round of applause for King Kong 360. You can go ahead and remove those 3D glasses, but hold on to them. We may be needing them.
Nabasa ako!
Those were pretty special ones, right? And they were brought to us by Peter Jackson and the very talented group over at Wedded Digital. Wedded Digital is based out of New Zealand. They've done some very impressive work. They worked on The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings trilogy, Guardians of the Galaxy, Deadpool, Avengers, The Jungle Book, just to name a few. And currently, to date, they have won 6 Academy Awards for their work.
With a project like the studio tour, the audience is in the middle of the environment. They're looking in all directions, there's creatures coming at them, they're seeing Kong from this side and T-Rexes from the other side.
Working on a movie, we always know where the people are looking. They're looking straight ahead, they're looking at the shot that we're working on.
Here you have to take into account that people are looking in all directions.
Also, one of the things about this ride, unlike the movies that we're used to working on, there's no cuts because it's one giant shot. This tram that's driving along through Skull Island is where the camera's from. This ring represents where the screen is 10 meters away.
We're really creating about 50 minutes of a feature film. That amount of visual information, that number of pixels, and presenting them to the audience, it's a hell of a ride.
Nagtago sa akin eh.
And here at Universal, we're kind of a big fan of those creature/monster films. They actually helped save the studio back in the 1930s. Not a lot of folks were going to see the movies, but then Universal started to produce these movies like Dracula, Frankenstein. They were well-known
Abantay man makiling yan.
People went to the movie
Abantay man
theaters
makiling
to see
yan.
what these movies were going to be all about, and they loved them. They loved them so much that they were actually able to save the studio. So we have some of these gorgeous murals over to the right side of the tram, painted by local artist Tristan Eaton. We have, Dracula, the Bride of Frankenstein, the creature from the Black Lagoon, Wolfman, and he painted these early in 2018. He was using spray paint, and he would do all of this freehand. So Tristan was actually able to see a lot of the archives and all the footage, and from there, he created those gorgeous murals that we now have here on our lot. Speaking of those creature films, you take a look over to the left side of the tram. We are passing Park Lake. I know it looks pretty nice now, but it was used as the Amazon River for the creature from the Black Lagoon. And for that particular production, they would actually have 2 actors. One actor in the water, one actor outside of the water. The actor that was in the water didn't have an oxygen tank, so they hired a professional swimmer who could hold his breath for up to 4 minutes. I know, that's pretty impressive. Now we are halfway through the tour. Just a quick reminder to please remain seated throughout the entire tour, and if you need any assistance, please pull the red cord and I will be back to assist you as soon as possible. We're also going to get to visit another area that's very important to the classic monster films, and that is our Little Europe sets. They were used for The Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Invisible Man, which is getting a remake, and that should be coming out soon. That's going to be also very exciting. The Bride of Frankenstein. So basically, anytime you saw those scenes in the monster films with the angry villagers and the pitch